This is the Davidson County Network.
Steamboat took my daddy to New Orleans. He got killed in a poker game downtown. Steamboat took my daddy to New Orleans. Some dirty Cajun gambler shot him down. Steamboat took daddy, didn't take me along. Now all I do is cry all day long. I'm gonna ride that steamboat, take my gun along. I'll get that man that done my daddy wrong, oh yeah. Get that man that done my daddy wrong. Steamboat took my daddy to New Orleans. Daddy was pretty good with a deck of cards.
Hi, I'm Jamal Kelly, and this is the Davidson County Network. Today we have a special treat for you. We're talking with singer and songwriter Mr. Jim Avett at his home here in Concord, North Carolina. You may also know Mr. Avett as the father of Seth and Scott Avett, better known as the Avett brothers. But today we're talking to Jim Avett about his life and career. We're going to hear a little music and gain a little wisdom along the way. So sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee, and enjoy the interview.
Who was a preacher. He was a Methodist minister, and he was a circuit rider. He had more than one church everywhere we went, with the possible exception of one or two. He was a smart man, and he was a very dedicated man. We lived here in Mount Pleasant in Cabarrus County from the time I was born, 47 to 53. We lived in this area. And he bought a piece of property, which I ended up buying from him. That's how I ended up coming back here years and years later. But from here, we moved to Reeds. And I spent from the time I was 6 years old to the time I was 11 years old, the wonder years over in Reeds community. And I remember a great deal about Davidson County. And he had, the churches he had there were Reeds and Friendship and Yadkin College. When Yadkin College was not so far removed from having a college over there. It's been a long time, but anyway, I remember the Bottoms. I remember explorations out in the woods in Davidson County. I remember people there. I remember eating there. I remember the barbecue, which I go all over now. I travel everywhere, and everywhere I go, they have barbecue, and they think their barbecue is the best barbecue in the world. Wrong. Wrong. It's not even worth arguing about, and I generally don't say anything about it unless somebody presses me, and when they press, then we need to talk about Lexington barbecue. It's what we need to talk about.
So Lexington's the best.
Oh yeah, there's absolutely no doubt. It's not the fact that I grew up here. It's not the fact that I've eaten there for all my life. That's not it. You put it on the plate and put it out with anybody else's barbecue, and it's going to be the best there. But let's see. Got started in music. Some interviewer asked, what was the... I had two interviews, by the way, coming up at Merlefest, and the questions have been submitted. One of them says, what are your earliest memories of music? I remember revivals at Shiloh Church in Reeds. I remember singing gospel with my mom and dad. I remember my mother was a concert pianist. She was phenomenal as far as I could be practicing violin 3 rooms away, and she'd be fixing supper, and I'd hit a sour note, and she'd say, that's an A sharp you're looking for, and I'm going, how in the world can you know that? How can you hear that? She was a great person, never had anything bad to say about anybody. If somebody needed something bad said about it, she just wouldn't say anything. And a very genteel lady, a very smart woman. My dad, being the preacher, was this was back in the time when Methodists really sang out. And I mean, Nobody was ashamed to make a bad note or whatever. You just go ahead and sing. But you don't have a lot of that now. You have a lot of big screens in churches, and you've gotten away from hymn books, which may be an efficient way of running things, but people don't learn to read music.
Yeah.
And if you want to if you want to sing tenor, you're going to have to make it up, and you're going to have some kind of training. And I think my appreciation of harmony, I know it did. It came from my home. It came from gospel singing. It came from singing across the board, playing an instrument and playing double stops. It came from I can take close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. Happiness I've known proof that you're mine. 'Cause you're mine, I walk the line. I think I have a great appreciation of harmony from the time I was very, very young. And I think harmony, you can judge a person's life as to how much happiness they got there, as to how much harmony is there. Not only harmony in song, but harmony in structure and colors and relationships and getting along. Somehow we have become, the American society has become a tough man contest.
Mm-hmm.
It's who can carry the biggest gun. Pistols have made some very small men some very big men, and it's the only thing that could have done it because they don't have enough brain power to be big men. But let's see. I'm not sure where I do this. There's an old Johnny Cash song. That's so Johnny Cash. Back when Daddy went to fight the big war, I saw my first pistol in the company store. When I was 13, thought it was the coolest thing that I'd ever seen. So I asked if I could have one when I grew up. Mama dropped a dozen eggs and she really blew up. I didn't understand. Mama said the pistol was the devil's right hand. Devil's right hand, the devil's right hand. Mama said the pistol was the devil's right hand. I think we have become a society where talking it out and compromising and dealing with it is a thing of the past. It'll be back. These things have a way of, in my life I have learned that the pendulum swings almost in everything. When it goes too much to the Democrats, it comes back to too much of the Republicans. Politically, as in a lot of things, I'm kind of in the center. I venture a little over here and I venture a little over here. But when I hear somebody who's halfway out here or halfway out here trying to convince me that they have all the right answers, I tire pretty easily. I tire really easily because I'm old enough to know that none of them got all the answers. And all the best guys aren't in this camp or that camp. But Davidson County holds a lot of memories. Most of the people that I knew there have gone on. They're all dead. But and there are very few people who can remember my parents. The ones that are my age, I run into every once in a while. And playing over at High Rock Outfitters, there's some that show up that without the internet we would have never gotten together again. But it's amazing to go back. I have a brother that's 78 years old. He's 6 years older than I am. And he goes back every year for a class reunion. And I think his class, I think 58 was when he graduated. I think there weren't 18 people in his class, and maybe 10 of them were left. Maybe. But anyway. All right, what else?
So where, after you left Davidson County, where all did you move to?
We went from Reeves to Hudson, and stayed at Hudson for, let's see, 8 years or so. Yeah. I graduated high school from Hudson. That's in Caldwell County. And the rest of my growing up was down there. My teenage years were spent there. When I graduated from Hudson High School in 1965, I went to two colleges. The first two colleges I went to, I got kicked out of. One was a social thing, and one was academics, and I was not ready for college. Some people are not ready for college. Just because you get out of high school doesn't mean you're ready to go for more of it. So Vietnam was pretty hot and heavy. It was really hot and heavy, and I was registered in Cabarrus County. And Cabarrus County, by 1967, only had old men and dogs left in it, and everybody else had been drafted. Moved on from there to the Navy for 4 years, and I saw some people in the Navy that I didn't want to be like, so when I came out, within 2 weeks, I was back in college, and I ended up with a master's degree in psychology. I wanted to know why people do what they do. I got that degree, the undergraduate at UNC Greensboro, and then I got that degree, and I went to work back in Lenore with DSS, with child neglect and abuse, and juvenile delinquents, and wasn't getting much done, and it was tough on me. Those jobs are not mentally, they are tough. There's not much you can do, and you suffer with every caseload you got. I came in one day, I told Susie, I said, we've talked about going to Alaska, you want to go? Before she answered, I said, I want to give them I'm tired of this. I said, I'm going to give her my notice. I wasn't going anywhere. Making $500 a month before taxes. Had a 10-month-old little girl, Bonnie. I told her, I said, I'm going to give my notice, and in a month I want to leave. I said, are you in? She said, I'm in. She said, don't ever ask me that again. She said, I'm going wherever you're going, and I'm going to do whatever you're doing. We will have been married 50 years at the end of May, and I have drug her through some pretty harsh trials, but we understand one another. We love one another. So these things work out.
You've done so much. Did fear ever play a part, or were you ever kind of scared to take those leaps of faith?
Too dumb. I was too dumb to be scared of much of anything. I've gone through life blessed in that there are a few things that I should have been scared of that I wasn't. We left North Carolina going to Alaska. We left North Carolina with $1,700, that's all, and a 15-year-old truck, and a dream of getting something else out of life. This is the one life that you get to live. If we're not warming up for the next one, you need to make as much out of it as you can. We didn't find in Alaska what we wanted, but on the way we went through Wyoming and we found exactly what I wanted right there. No state taxes. 90% of the state's owned by the federal government, so there's an awful lot of wide open land. People out there will give you a chance to do what you say you could do. If you were lying, you don't get another chance, and that's as it should be. Mm-hmm. You might as well move on to California or wherever you're going to go, because you ain't staying there. I wanted a chance to, I had taken welding at night, and I thought I was a hotshot welder. When I got into it, I found out I wasn't nothing. I had a lot of learning to do, but I got the chance to get into welding. So when I came back, I worked for myself, and all my life I worked for myself. I started a welding outfit while I was in Wyoming, and when we came back, I was determined to be the biggest welder on the East Coast, and I was headed in the right direction. Then they changed the laws on me to set aside minority laws. I'm just an old dumb white man. I can't do anything about any of that. I wouldn't change another thing. I can't. I won't. But I made my way anyway. The way that I made a living in welding was highway bridge work. 98% of our stuff was highway bridge work up and down the East Coast. And nobody ever heard of us, but every bridge builder knew who we were, because we took the ones that nobody else wanted, the ones that nobody else could do. We'd take them, and we'd guarantee them. And we'd be on time, we'd be under budget. We ran a pretty straight business. We made a lot of money. We spent a lot of money. It's all a relative thing, you know. I don't see anybody getting rich, but I don't see many people starving to death at work. If you eat supper, you're a success. Sometimes we ate beans, sometimes we ate steak, but we ate. Law, don't care what the law is, I'm gonna eat. It's a matter of survival. It ain't a matter of doing what's legal, it's a matter of doing what's right. And ain't nobody that I know or am kin to is gonna starve. If I ain't got it, I'll get it. If I have to steal it, I'm going to. When it comes down to push and shove, I'm gonna eat. Yeah. But anyway, scared? No, not really. Not really. I was too dumb to be scared of a lot of things I probably should have been. But life has worked out very well for me. I've always got up around 4 o'clock in the morning. Got used to it in the Navy. I worked an early shift, and I'd be over a base at 3:30 in the morning, but I'd get off at 10:30 and go home, get a couple hours of sleep, and Susie and I'd go to the beach. And it wasn't a bad life. I mean, you could put up with it. I did not go to Vietnam. I told them the same thing that everybody else told them. I said, they've given you 4 years to kill me. If you don't do it in 4 years, you'll get another chance. When I left, I made a pact with myself. There's nobody that loves this country more than I do. But I'll never go back as a member of an organized fighting force anymore. I will do best to take my guns and go to Wilmington and kill as many of them before they kill me. That's the plan. If I have to go back, I'm going back that way. But anyway, what else?
So when your kids were growing up, did you make it a point to make sure that they had a passion for music? Or did it just come naturally?
Well, we give them a starting point. I think we started all off on piano because with stringed instruments you have to have calluses on the end of your fingers, and it hurts little kids. It hurts big kids, but little fingers can punch piano keys, and that's where you learn discipline. That's where you learn practice. That's where you learn the fundamentals of music. And the importance of music is that it fits together. And what you're trying to do to instill a love of anything is explain it to your child. What is, you can explain this, I would explain this to you because you're an adult this way. Everything fits together in music. It's like a locomotive, man. You look at a locomotive and every piece and every part there exactly fits where it's at, and it works exactly right with the rest of it. In music, you can, I don't care what level you are, you can play chopsticks or you can play Beethoven, but it all fits together. And the more you grow in music, the more you learn, the more finely tuned you get. It's like higher mathematics. It all fits together. And it's like I have said before in the gospel section of my shows, God gives you, I think God gives you a 50,000 piece puzzle. And I think that if you want to understand life, you put as many pieces of this together as you can, because it all fits. You may not know what the piece is, needs to go here. And if you're having trouble understanding something, you don't have the right piece. You're trying to fit the wrong piece in the wrong place. In music, things go together. things go together. Simple stuff. Jimmy Rogers. All along the water tank, waiting for a train, 1,000 miles away from home, waiting in the rain. And I walked up to a brakeman just to start a line of talk. He said, if you've got money, son, I'll see that you don't walk. I haven't got a nickel, not a penny can I show. Get off, you railroad bum, he slammed the boxcar door. Yodel lady, yodel lady, yodel lady. Yodel lady, yodel lady, yodel lady. When I was a kid, I thought everybody yodeled. You know, it's just something that people did, but it all fits together. And you'll hear notes going, two notes going, and as they go up together, and they maintain their distance. They're close, but they maintain their distance. And again, harmony is what I'm looking at. In music, there is a whole world above the normal guitar player. Normal guitar players, which I consider myself one, I like to sit on the front porch and I like to pick out tunes that I've heard. The reason I learned to play is when I was growing up, if you heard a song you liked, you'd hear it on the radio. The only way you could get it was buy a record or buy the album or go to your friend's house. And these songs would stay popular for about a month. They would peak out and then you'd never hear them again. And so if you wanted to hear them and you didn't have a lot of money to buy records, you learned to play them. I learned hundreds of songs that way. Songs that your age will never hear. Most of my schooling, a lot of my schooling, not most of it, but a lot of it, came from a guitar. There was a guy, Johnny Horton. I'm not sure what keys I'm going to be doing this in, but he had a record that had the flag on the front of it, and he had in May of 1941, the war had just begun. The Germans had the biggest ship that had the biggest guns. The Bismarck was the biggest ship that ever sailed the sea. On her decks were guns as big as cows and shells as big as trees. Comanche, the brave horse, Comanche, you tried. The battle was over at the Little Big Horn. One lone survivor, wounded and worn. One lone survivor, wounded and weak. Comanche, the brave horse, there at the general's feet. Comanche, you fought hard. Comanche, you tried. You were a brave soldier, head up high. For even the bravest sometimes must fall. Comanche, the brave horse, you gave your all. You fought all the way, Johnny Rip, Johnny Rip. You fought all the way, Johnny Rip. I saw you standing with Robert E. Lee. Held your head high, trying to win the victory. Tears in your eyes as you watch your buddies fall. Tears in your eyes, but you couldn't help it all. You fought all the way, Johnny Rip, Johnny Rip, and 100 more. But I learned a lot of a lot of history through songs. I like ballad songs. I like songs that tell a story. I think singing started with the court jester. You know, you'd have people who went from town to town back in the 1200s, 1400s. You'd have jesters that went from one court to another, and they would spread the news. They would sing the news a lot. He'd be walking through the streets singing, you know, somebody got defeated down, you know, of course this was 6 months ago. This was the news. But I like, one interviewer said, if you hear the Avett brothers, you see a lot of energy. If you hear the Avett dad, you'll hear a lot of ballads. You're going to, but anyway. You,
Yeah, I was going to ask about the new album.
the only way you can get it is from me. You can have that one.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
It has inside it, under one of those jackets, on the left is the CD. On the right is a pamphlet in there that has the lyrics, and it also has the liner notes. And that is what I was thinking when I wrote the song.
Oh, okay.
And I wish more people would do that, because there's been some songs that I've heard. I wondered, what in the hell was he thinking when he wrote this, you know? But anyway, I just went ahead and included that so nobody will have to wonder. But the only way you can get that is from me, because I'm the only one that has it. It came out last Saturday.
Okay.
I've sold over 150 of them.
Oh, wow.
I made that CD really for the kids, because I got a lot of songs that aren't recorded, and I did not want all of them to die when I die. I like for them to at least have them. When I gave them to the kids, they said, you really need to put this out in an album. So that's how you're holding that one there. And if I sell 300 of them, I believe I'll have my money back. And we can go forward from there. But I'm also having a vinyl made out of it.
Oh, wow.
And those, you have a lot invested in that. Each, I think in CDs, you probably maybe have $4, maybe $4 or $5 in each CD. In each album, you may have 11 or 12. So the profit margin, you can sell fewer of those and get your money back. As far as the albums go, it was not basically an ego thing, but they last longer. An album lasts longer, a vinyl does. But anyway, I'm having a limited run made of those. I told off. I said, if we can print less than 1,000, I think I can sell 500. I don't think I can sell 1,000. He talked to somebody, and they said, we'll print 500. So right now they're being made. But vinyl is, the vinyl makers are 24/7. They're wide open right now. They're about 6 months behind. So there's a resurgent in vinyl. We won't walk down, but I've got, down in my shop, I've got probably 4,000 albums.
Wow.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I tend to go overboard when I find something I like, you know. But that's down. I probably at the peak, I probably had 7,000 or 8,000 record albums. And the music that I like are on those albums, and I'm too old to be changing around it. But anyhow.
So you're the first musician that I've actually interviewed for DCN. But one question I do want to ask musicians when we do interview them now and in the future, one of my favorite movies is Walk the Line, about Johnny Cash. And I know one question, I believe it was one of the producers or somebody asked Johnny is if there was one song that you could sing to tell God how you felt about your time on this earth, what would it be? So, Mr. Avett, if there's one song.
Precious Lord.
Precious Lord.
Comes to mind immediately. I am pretty deep into gospel, and I could name off a dozen songs that are meaningful songs. But I think songs like "Pass Me Not, O Gentle Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass white wings to my immortal home. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners was slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. Lots and lots and lots of tunes. Come up with a dozen right off the bat. I like gospel, and that's why those would come along. I like B-sides. I like the ones that nobody ever heard except Merle and me. He knew he wrote it, and I heard it. But I like Tom T. Hall. I like Jim Croce. I like second-tier folks. My favorite band, the Beatles, hands down, hands down. They weren't working but 11 years, and they still are a major influence on music.
Do you ever play any of their music in your shows?
Very rarely, very rarely. When you play, if you play on stage, if you do a cover, you need to pick a cover that nobody has heard, because if you try to do Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, Willie has that one. Yesterday, my troubles seem so far away. Now I know to hide away from yesterday came suddenly. Yesterday in Blackbird. I like some of Dylan's stuff, but you don't do much of that. And the reason, because everybody will compare you to what they have heard. And I'm, as a singer-songwriter, I don't have great skills on the guitar. I consider myself a pretty poor guitar player because I am relative to some people that I really think are good guitar players. The difference between me and a really good guitar player is I can sit down and we can hear a song, he can play it back just like he heard it. I don't play it back like I heard it. I generally play it back the way I think it ought to go, and I think that's a lot better. But I didn't spend all my life studying guitar. I had 3 years of piano and 4 years of violin before I ever picked up a guitar. So I knew kind of what was going on with music. But I am much more interested in the story it tells than the music. I like the progressions of certain singers, the Beatles in particular. Don Williams, a Texas guy. I was a kid, Uncle Remus put me to bed with a picture of Stonewall Jackson over my head. Daddy came in to kiss his little man, gin on his breath and a Bible in his hand. Talked about honor and things I should know. Staggered a little as he walked out the door. I can still hear the soft southern breeze and the live oak trees. Those Williams boys, they still mean a lot to me. Hank in Tennessee, yes, we're all gonna be what we're gonna be. What do you do with good old boys like me?
That's one of my favorite songs.
I like certain progressions. That is my style of doing things, and whether it goes with anybody else or not, it's like I told them in Merle Fest. I told one of the audiences one time. I said I do Southern gospel. When I do gospel, I do Southern gospel. I don't do Muslim gospel. If you want Muslim gospel, you need to get somebody who sings Muslim gospel. And I don't think that is, I don't think that's being a bigot. I think it's being a realist. It's just where I come from, Davidson County.
Yeah.
And I make no excuses to anybody for what I am or where I grew up. When I joined the Navy, I figured I would stay here. I wouldn't run from it. When I decided I was going to come back from Wyoming, I was going to come back down south because I understand people from down south. I understand that there's some things here that ain't right. I'm not going to be able to change or influence any of that if I run off. It would be better for me just to come back because I understand the folks here. Had a girl in New York say, I love the way you talk. She said, I love your accent. I said, what accent? I said, where I'm from, everybody talks like this.
That's right. Yeah.
We all understand one another. You know, that is the measure of success, if you understand one another. So, but anyway.
I'll wrap this up here in a minute. What a legacy. As a singer, songwriter, what do you want your legacy to be?
I've never thought about that. It never was a dream of mine to get on the stage. I've been on way too many stages the way it is. Before the boys, I've always picked a guitar. I've always made music, been in bands, few bands, because I usually got kicked out of the bands that I was in, because I expect a lot out of other musicians. I expect a lot out of me. The first thing is I'm going to be on time. If I tell you I'm going to be there at 7 o'clock, I'll be there at 4:45. But I won't be there at 5 after because I don't know where you are. I don't know if you're in drunk, sleep, in jail, dead, wherever you are, you ain't here. And for that, I'm not going to put up with that. I'm not going to put up with it. I think my time is important to me. It might not be important to anybody else, but it's important to me. And if you respect another person, the least you can do is be on time. There's a lot of people who don't like me because this fits in with the rest of the things that I am. I depend a lot on other people taking pride in their stuff and working on it, being ready. I stand on the shoulders of some very, very strong people. If I was to have a legacy, I want to be shoulders that others can stand on. At this point in my life, it is up to me to give away what it's taken me 72 years to learn. I'm not looking to make money off of it. I'm not looking to impress anybody with it. These are things that I've found out to be true, whether it's in guitar, whether it's in life in general. Legacy, the legacy that I probably will leave is down in Stanley County, where my daddy's from. I'm going to be buried in Norwood Cemetery. My daddy's buried there. His daddy, and his daddy, and his daddy, and his daddy. 6 generations in Stanley County. Part of them in cow pastures.
Wow.
Never get far from your roots. You never get far from your roots. I don't care who you are. You may move off. You may move and die somewhere else, but you'll never get far from what you put in the ground coming up. Tree don't get up and leave, and the fruits of that tree don't fall very far from it. We have been Susie and I have been extremely lucky in that we didn't have to deal with a lot of problems that I've seen others be torn apart with, and don't know how I would deal with some of that stuff. It just wasn't. It never challenged me. Our kids did things that kids do. This is how children make a living. It's causing problems, what they caused. If I'd never been rowdy, then I'd pick up and throw the first stone. But that don't make sense. If parents remember, if they have a clear memory and they don't want to sugarcoat it too much, then there were some times when all of us disappointed our parents, when all of us were less than we could have been. When all of us lied, when all of us took the easy way. And the idea there is to learn from that. Experience is not any good unless you learn something from it, unless you can avoid it next time. When I was working, I tell my employees, I said, I know you're going to make mistakes, and I can live with that. I just don't want you to make the same mistake. There's 10,000 other mistakes we can make. Let's make as many as we can different, because if you make a mistake, if you don't learn from it, it was a waste of time. It was an absolute waste of time. It was bad enough making a mistake, but not learning from it to avoid it is worse yet. So, but this is just the way that I feel about it, and what the hell do I know? I mean, when it comes down to it.
This kind of just popped into my head, but I just want to ask you, and this is kind of for me personal, but I have a 6-month-old at home, and I'm just curious, what kind of advice do you have for young dads out there?
I get asked that a lot. There's no magic bullet. I think the thing that you really need to remember is you don't ever dig a ditch too deep for you to get across or him to get across. There ain't nothing that he can do, nothing that he can do to take away your love. It's got to be unconditional, absolutely unconditional. Tattoos, the length of their hair, the clothes that they wear. This stuff will get over with, and the less big deal you make out of it, the better you are. If he comes in and you've got a shirt on, you're just absolutely stupid looking. The best way to handle that is not tell him that that's stupid looking. You go get you one just like it, and you show up with it on. He'll never wear that shirt again, because he doesn't want to be like all the old fuddy-duddies. He wants to be like all the other people that are his age. And this is, they say, well, we're individualistic. Well, they look all alike pretty well. I mean, whether they're old folks or medium-sized folks or young people. But I think overreacting is probably the biggest deal with parents, and being overbearing. I know a lot of parents that want their children to do what they couldn't do or didn't do. You go to football games and there's dads that are just hollering just ugly stuff at their kids about the sport. It's a sport. Who cares? Because dad wasn't any good at football, he wants to see his son good at it, or baseball, or basketball, or in school, or whatever. You have to keep in mind this is his life, it ain't yours. I've had my chance. My job is to support them in whatever they want to do. You asked a while ago if we tried to push them to music. Never. I didn't try to push them toward anything. I wanted to give them what are called life chances. I wanted to take them to California. I wanted to take them to up north. I wanted to take them to Atlanta, to Miami, to Disney World. I wanted them to see what was available. Because you can't make a really good choice unless you know all the options, or as many options as you can. I know of a lot of options, and I choose to live right here. I got enough gas and money and first gear to go about wherever I want to go. I'm not rich, but a lot of it's just guts to go down there and get in the truck. Let's go. But I choose to be right here. And I've seen a lot of other places. They're awful pretty places. Pretty is what you're looking for. But life right here ain't too bad. I mean, the mountains are 2 hours away. The coast is 3 hours away. Barbecue's 40 minutes up the road. I can have a garden here. I can have cows here. The winters are not bad. The summer's not that bad. Put up a little bit of, hot, and put up a little bit of cold. I choose to do what I do. I have been lucky in life in doing that, and that's what I want my children to do, is to have the option. But I wanted them to know the availabilities. I wanted them to know what the options were. And I'm not a person that lives in one place and thinks that's the best place unless you know of what the other places are like. You don't know really what you're talking about. For some people, it would be better. One of our children lives part of the time in New York City. That's fine. That's his Seth's wife, Jennifer Carpenter. Her job is acting. She's got a TV. She's in a TV drama right now. And if you do that, you have to live in New York City. You don't have a lot of choice. But all places have something good. All places have something bad. If you're looking for the bad, you're going to find it everywhere. Sometimes you need to change your attitude. All things, we can't blame all things on people that aren't from here. we have our own problems. But
well, I know you said you're playing Merle Fest next week. Any other tour dates? You come back to Davidson County anytime soon?
I come back. We're getting ready to get started. I haven't done a whole lot. I played in Asheboro about a month ago. That was great. It's 45 minutes down the road, and was home by 9:30 or whatever. It was an early show. I've got right now 40 tour dates to do between now and December the 1st. I do 40 to 50 shows a year. I do them all over. This is as far as San Francisco. I come back from Merle Fest next Sunday, and I'll be here for about a week. Then I play in Dallas, Texas, and Austin. Come back and then here maybe a week, and I go to Erie, Pennsylvania. You ever been up to Erie?
I have not.
Man, it's about 8.5 hours straight north. Go up 77, then get on 79, and you see a lot of West Virginia. You see a lot of country. I mean, just country. Erie. I play a festival, Edinburgh Festival. I played it for the last 5 or 6 years. It's a little one-day festival in a little Mount Pleasant kind of town. It's kind of no town. But they're fine people, and it's 15 miles from Lake Erie. Lake Erie's like the ocean. I mean, until the last part of my life, within the last 8 or 10 years, I'd never seen one of the Great Lakes. But they're like going to the ocean. But anyway, that is maybe the middle of May, then come back here and then go the next week to Washington. Red Rocks comes up at the end of June. I'll play twice on the trip out. I'll play Kansas City and a place in Wyoming, Glen Rock, then go down and probably get on stage with the boys at least one night at Red Rocks. There are 10,000 people each night, and it is if you see the Avett brothers in two places, you need to see them at Merle Fest and at Red Rocks. Those places will give you an idea of what's going on with the Avett brothers. I have a fall, the entire month of September will be taken up and start in New York and head out west, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Portland, San Francisco, 4 or 5 places in California, coming back, Provo, Utah. I played for the Mormons this last year, first time, and they're all just pretty well normal. I asked Susie. Susie was a Mormon. Her mom and dad were from Utah. He was in the service. He was a general when I was an E4 in the Navy when we got married. But when she was little, she was a Mormon, and we were going to this gig in Utah, and I said, Mormons, they believe in God? And she said, oh yeah. I said, they believe in Jesus? Oh yeah. They dance? Oh yeah. Do they drink? Oh no. They don't even drink coffee. I would, whoa, they're like, Baptists, they drink, but they don't want you to know it. It's what it is. But I would think that that's probably what it is, but they're just normal people. I think they got a pretty bad rap in the late 1800s, and I think deservedly so for part of it, but not so long lasting. It needs to get over with, and understand these people are just people. And some of my better friends are Mormons. So, but anyway, we got a full plate for this year, and I can see the end's coming. I don't know. I'll get back. I've got a couple of weeks that are open between now and December, and I'm sure that Chris and I'll get together and coming back to High Rock. We just I played there. I believe it was in June or July, and then again maybe November or December, and probably give it 6 months, 8 months rest. And you don't want to wear folks out. I don't play in North Carolina all that much. I don't think it's a good idea to play local. You wear them out, and then they get worn out pretty quick at you. And so I just I don't do a whole lot around here.
Well, Mr. Avett, thank you so much for your time and for playing some songs for us, and we can't wait to have you back in Davidson County very soon.
Well, I'll be back. We'll get together. I'll get up with Chris and we'll get a date there.
Do you have one more song you can play for us? Do you mind?
I got hundreds of them. I'm not sure what. The other one. I was thinking. I was at the computer before we got started with this. The other one that I'm thinking about for Merlefest is, and I'm surprised at people that have never heard this song. My grandfather's clock was too tall for the shelf, so it stood 90 years on the floor. It was taller by half than the old man himself, but it weighed not a penny, weighed more. It was bought on the morning that the old man was born. It was always his treasure and pride, but it stopped short, never to go again when the old man died. My grandfather said of those he could hire, not a servant so faithful he found. For it wasted no time, and it had but one desire, at the close of each week to be wound. And it kept in its place, not a frown upon its face, and its hands never hung by its side. Stopped short, never to go again when the old man died. 90 years without slumbering, tick-tock, tick-tock, his life seconds numbering. Tick-tock, tick-tock, let's stop short, never to go again when the old man died. Thank you so much, Mr. Avett. Yep.
This has been a presentation from the Davidson County Network. For all interview and promotional inquiries, please contact us at davidsoncountynetwork@gmail.com. The Davidson County Network is 100% self-funded and aims to be a premier source of news, sports media, business promotion, and entertainment in Davidson County, North Carolina. Thank you for your continued support.